This is part of the joy of being a Democrat. You can do virtually anything, and the press will make an excuse for it as long as you're expanding the powers of government, as long as you're limiting individual freedom, especially the individual freedoms of those nasty people who live somewhere besides New York and LA. God knows where they are, but they're someplace out there. And so I think, they can say, basically, Democrats can say anything. As you say, they can support abortion up till the moment before the poor child is born. They can talk about getting rid of the Electoral College, stacking the Supreme Court. Ocasio-Cortez was talking about stacking the Supreme Court. They can talk about destroying the Senate. They can talk about virtually anything. And as long as they're talking about extending the powers of government, and as long as they oppose Donald Trump, the press will back them up. And in this case, it is truly repulsive. This is a women's march that had anti-Semitism at its core from the very beginning. It had an apologist for Sharia law, which is a moral atrocity, at its core, was one of its leaders, Linda Sarsour. And the press will just make an excuse for anything. It leads us back to the time when Bill Clinton was carrying an affair on with a woman young enough to be his daughter in the Oval Office, and the press made an excuse for that. All you have to do is support the extension of government over individual rights, and virtually anything else you do will be forgiven by the press.
Right, and I think in a scary sense, it's not just the press, it's Democratic leadership. I mean, if you look at the incoming freshman class of Democrats in Congress, we have this new Congresswoman, Rashida Tlaib. She's the one that said, oh, we're going to impeach that mother effer about President Trump the day after. Nancy Pelosi refused to, put her in her place and say, wow, that's not really how we talk here in Congress. We'd like to have at least some semblance of respect for the office of the presidency. This woman has absolutely crazy views. I mean, she claims to be the first Palestinian in Congress, by the way, which is not accurate. Justin Amash, actually, I think his father's Palestinian. He's been in Congress since 2011. But he's a Republican, so he doesn't count in the eyes of the Democrats. She has in her new office a map of the world. She has a Post-it note over Israel. It says Palestine. She's also friends with Linda Sarsour and has used language in her tweets and in her speeches and with people that she associates, with whom people she associates, that's very anti-Semitic, I think. And the Democratic leadership is just tolerating and say, well, we're not here to censor her.
Yeah, well, my favorite article about this was in the Washington Post, where democracy dies in seething hatred of the president. And they said, what's really so wrong with using the word mother effer? What is so terrible about this? And they made the distinction, that's just saying somebody's very bad. It's not like what Donald Trump said about how women will allow you to grab them if you're a celebrity. That's totally different. And here again, you have the left led by the press, because the left only does this. People like Pelosi and Chuck Schumer only do it because they know the press will protect them. It's the left defining what language means, what ideas are. If you say, I want to build a wall and have border security, that must be because you hate brown people. And yet if you support policies that would wipe Israel off the face of the earth and result in the death of 6 million Jews, that's fine. That's not a
Nancy
dogma.
Pelosi doesn't want to censor you if you say that sort of thing. That's when they really embrace your right to free speech.